Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at Remax Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Good morning and happy Monday.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi. Oh, it always feels like a Monday on Monday.
Yes, that's for sure.
Right? So we are at the broker owner conference
In Nashville, finally, after living in Tennessee, 2.5 hours away, finally making it to Nashville.
Awesome. Right. So
that's
hopefully
what happens when you move and then the world ends. And
right.
Like, okay, now what?
So hopefully we're doing a lot of learning and networking, and we'll be bringing back all sorts of information to everyone. But for today, we're going to talk about how to calm the nerves, or calming the housing crash nerves. And I hesitate to even say it that way because,
but it really, that's like what the media, I think they just like to put spins on things to make people nervous, or, I guess that sells.
How else are they going to report it? I don't know, Right.
I don't know. Be realistic. I mean, I almost laugh when I watch it, some of these reports, and the way, kind of, I call it clickbait, right? Because that's what it feels like, and how they word things. And I'm like,
right,
kind of getting back to normal. Like, thank goodness.
Right.
It's been a little insane. So for that, I don't know. It's still like better than prior to COVID. I mean, I don't know. When I listen to the media, I'm like, what? Like, it's nothing like it was. And there's so many facts out there. And that's where I thought this would be a good episode, because I really feel that's where, as agents, you can really showcase even when you're having to explain to sellers and buyers, yes, we're not the way we were, 6 months ago, but it's okay. It's, it's just we're just trying to get back to normalcy, just like the rest of the world, right? With every other element. So,
right. So for sure. And so, it seems like, interest rates are rising, house prices still seem to be rising. And I think kind of everybody you talk to, there's questions, there's comments. And the biggest question is the market going to crash? Have we hit the bubble? Is this going to be just like 2008, and on and on and on and on and on, And so we watched this great webinar a couple weeks ago that covers a lot of it. There's also, as we've mentioned, lots of information by the chief economist from NAR that's out there. I watched a Brian Buffini thing a couple weeks ago, and they actually had a Lawrence Yun speak. And I forwarded that recording to many people, and I said, fast forward to minute 5, whatever it was, 5:12, and just listen to him. But as we're getting these questions, right, and we talk about this all the time, education is the key. So there's 3 things I think that you really need to be doing. Is proof is in the data. We'll talk about that, but it's keeping yourself educated on the data. You're the expert. This is what we do for a living. So we need to, and I'm not saying we need to be the experts on the economy, but we need to be the experts on what's going on in your real estate market, and put it into a simple and effective message. When I first saw this topic, I laughed, because sometimes I'll run into people and they'll just say, oh yeah, the market's crashing. And it's not people that I'm ever going to sell a house to or buy a house. Sometimes it'll be at a showing, and someone will be there, or at an open house, or someone will be there. And those people, I don't need to educate everybody. I need to educate the people that I'm working with. I don't need to educate the random person at an open house that I run into. Because sometimes it can become confrontational, if that makes sense. You want to be the expert, you want to give the information, and hopefully in an effective message. God, that was a lot of rambling.
That's what we do. We just,
Right, exactly.
here's a topic and let's just,
Right.
have the Kerry and Heather show, as people call us.
Right. So the proof is in the data. You're the pro. Make sure that you are providing up to date, up to the minute almost data. One of the biggest things that I've said to so many people recently, oh my God, the market, crashing, awful, bubble. And I say, okay, so we were in a market for a year and a half. It got really crazy for at least 6 or 8 months, where houses were going under contract in, one day, multiple offers, highest and best. Now we're going under contract in 12 to 15 days, sometimes still multiple offers and highest and best. 12 to 15 days is not bad.
No, no. I
It's
mean, it's
not
still
bad.
not normal.
Yeah.
When
Right.
you
It's still not normal.
to-
We are still only at in our market in Brevard County, 1.2 months of inventory. A normal market is 5 to 6 months. We're still very far away from that.
Yeah.
So it is still very much a seller's market. And yes, we are seeing prices coming down. But the reason I think we're seeing prices coming down is because the market was so good and so crazy, you could almost put any number on a house and it would go for more than you listed it for. And I think people just got too aggressive. And now buyers are like, I'm not going to overpay. And for a few months, maybe they were willing to. And now we're seeing it just come a little bit back to normal. But that doesn't mean prices are, dropping like.
And it's so funny because even, Leo, my husband, so it's like we finally know like where we want to be and stuff. So, he's like, gets all these alerts and he's like, the housing market is going, everything is low, or like all these price reductions and stuff. And I'm like, a lot of that I think is just unrealistic prices that they threw there hoping to get. And
here's my example. Like I'll say to a seller, okay, I think your house is 700 to 725. If you want to, get multiple offers or possibly put it into highest and best, we'll do 700 or even a little bit down into the sixes. But if you want to push it, we'll start at 725, but I don't think you'll get as many lookers right away, or possibly highest and best. And then the seller says, let's just try 750, and then the agent says, okay, let's just try because the market's so crazy. And I think that's where we're seeing the price reductions, because that house should have really been listed at 700.
Right. No, and that's what I keep. And he's like, no, because all these, and I'm like, we're in a different market. So if they happen to list their house right as this shift happened, we're going into a different market. And
right.
That's why the reductions are happening. Or it could be, I mean, I think that the sellers just got used to this kind of market, and maybe they're upset they kind of missed that crazy make up any price and getting all of that. I don't know. There's so many different factors, but it is funny. So I think of Leo as like a regular
right. He's a regular guy. He's a regular consumer. Right.
And he's right there listening to the media and seeing these price reductions, and everything sings for him, like everything, the market's crashing.
Right.
It's like, no, that, and I'm like, same guy who I kept saying when we were trying to buy a house up here, and there were multiple offers on every single property we tried to get. And he kept thinking buying a house was still like Craigslist, and we're gonna, and awesome. And it wasn't until I started like losing my cool. Like, we are not going to get up there. I'm not living in a camper with an English Mastiff and a Great Dane, a guinea pig, whatever, and 2 children. And this little teeny camper is not that big.
Right.
So I think it took me stressing out to the way I was, because he wasn't being realistic. I'm like, you can't lowball offer on multiple offer situations. We will never
Right.
to the house.
Right.
And it ended up being where, we only could look at vacant houses and, only had like two
Right.
schools that I need
You
that
needed
I
to
could
go.
be in.
Yeah. You needed a
Because you
special
can't rent
area.
when you have two ginormous dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just got to be where whatever, we just need a roof over our head.
We need to live somewhere. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. So, pay attention to the data. I just try to soak it in from any place I can get it, and I try to use a cool head when I'm reviewing it. But we have a great marketing piece that we put out monthly that comes from the Space Coast Association of Realtors that shows year over year. And it's funny, one of my investor clients was like, everybody's talking like the sky is falling. And she's like, what's your opinion? And I gave her, and she responded and she said, I knew if I talked to you, you'd calm me down. Like, it's not as crazy as everybody's acting. And then I sent her the stats. And now every month she's like, can you send me the stats again? Because the stats is what's proving what I'm saying. We're still selling more houses. We're still going under contract in record days. We're still shortage of houses on the market. So
it's still a great market.
Yeah, it really, really is. And
So
remember that
it's just
you're the expert, and make sure that you are the expert. Make sure you have the data to back it up so that you know what you're talking about. And I was speaking with some people recently and about, is the same thing that's going to happen in '08 happen if I buy this house that feels overpriced? And first of all, if it feels overpriced, it's probably overpriced, like we just
I
said.
don't know. I mean, like, look at the houses and like GDC homes going for over 300.
I know, it's crazy, right? So
blows. I don't care how.
I
I don't, unless you put gold for the floors.
Right, exactly. I know. I was having a conversation with somebody recently about, like, if I could afford a $2.6 million house, I wanted to have gold leaf toilets, like, So I was talking to these people, and I explained to them, what was happening in '08. I mean, they were giving. I saw this rant on a TV show I was watching the other day about, he was trying to borrow money to save his house, and they turned him down. And he said, if this was 2008, you'd be writing me checks. I could be an unemployed stay-at-home mom, and you would be writing me checks to be able to buy houses. And that's exactly right. That's what was going on in '08. And there were groups of people that were buying multiple houses and having them built. So like you and me and say Leo, went into a buying group together. We were contracting to build 6 new homes, and there were not 6 new people coming into town to buy those houses. That was the problem. We had way too many homes on the market for the amount of people here. We don't have that now. And they were giving money to anybody and everybody. Now lending is much tighter. It's a lot harder to get a loan these days, So
I just remember working with people, and maybe they worked at like a Burger King or just something where you're not making a lot of money, and they're given this amount of money. And in my brain, I'm like, how does that even work?
I
Like,
know.
how are you getting,
right.
You're approved for over, for 250, and
Right.
you're making like $7 an hour. Like, it was horrible because I just have zero filter, but I could sleep well at night knowing like this is way over your budget. And to them,
Right.
like, oh, well, I'm going to get a raise, or I could get another job.
Exactly.
And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
exactly. And then that is not what's happening now.
Yeah. All the funky things that were going on, like the balloon payments. And to me, it just, and I get it. Like, as a first time home buyer, you get excited, just like Jesse with these cars or whatever. It's like, you're 19. You don't need a $50,000 car. Like,
right.
I need you to move out.
Right. So it's the same thing is not happening. We still have way too low of inventory, and even the building industry is saying that they can't even catch up with the supply chain and everything else. Like, we're looking at 8 to 10 years of new construction catching up. It's amazing what 2 years did. The COVID years.
And I mean, you still see the issue. So
yeah.
I mean, I see it just trying to get things for like the Jeep or whatever. You still feel that the
Exactly.
impact of all of that, all
Exactly.
of what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
And
And
then just oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and keep your message simple and effective. Like we have these slides that you do for us with what's going on in the market. That's a visual. That's great. People can see that. They can compare this year to last year. Uh, and that's the facts and the figures in front of your face.
And that's really, and it's local. I'm a visual, so I like that. But even if you just simple post on social or ask questions, like what's your number one question you have regarding our market?
Yeah.
And you have the stats in front of you. There's tons of resources to get that for you. But once you get that, and I think NAR, they do great weekly, articles on
They do.
everything that's going
Yep.
on. I mean, it's a great resource, and that's on a national level, but make sure
Well,
to
and
get down to the local level
yep,
as
even
well.
Florida Realtors does some good stuff, and at least that's local to Florida, or you can, whatever state you're in, you go, look to your state association for information, and then ultimately, we get the information as well from Space Coast Association.
Hmm.
At least we have accurate data. I mean, that is the thing.
Right, because I mean, you don't have to make the stuff up. A lot of this is already pre-done for us. It's just a way to make sure when you are on those listing appointments or working with buyers that you explain what's really going on, not what the media is kind of saying up there, because I am seeing a lot of posts in different groups, buyers really lowballing and then walking away if the
Yep.
sellers are like no. And I think we're just at that pivotal moment where maybe sellers are wanting or wishing they were, 6 months ago or something like that. And now buyers see the media and they're like, no, I'm not even coming close to the asking price because we're about to be in a crash. I mean, it's kind of
Right.
funny, but I really think it's up to us to educate both
Yes.
sides and what's really going on in the market.
Yep.
Um, but it's always changing, and that's the good part about real estate.
Right.
But
Exactly.
don't let that media crash and recession and this and I don't know. I
Right.
just
No, but I think you still have to watch it, and you still have to listen to it in order to get
the
educated
perspective of like the
or
Leos in the
perspective.
world who
Yeah,
think the sky
for
is
sure.
falling, and I mean
For sure.
because that that becomes reality to them, and it's just a matter of us being able to educate what's really going on.
Right. And might the sky fall in another year? I mean, it could. We can't say right now.
There's no crystal ball.
But
It's just
all indicators, because of the lack of inventory. I mean, that's the thing we have to remember. The inventory is just really so low. Um,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
I know.
But yeah, I think just stay on top of the news, stay local, and being able to educate in a simple.
Well, and I think the local part is really a big thing too, because like I mentioned, for us here locally, because of the space industry, there's lots of jobs being created, which those jobs just create more jobs because we need more restaurants, we need more servers, we need more chefs, we need more grocery stores. So in our market, I mean, there's no place you can go where you don't see construction happening.
And yeah, because you need more roads and
Yeah,
everything
everything.
else.
So, definitely the local part because, it may be different in, I don't know where, but it may be different somewhere else. Kalamazoo, right? So it could be different there than it is in Melbourne, Florida.
Yep, because we've seen the growth. We've got the Smith and Wesson that's about to open in September, I think. We've got huge Amazon plants opening. So there's lots of road construction to be able to handle all the incoming of people moving to the area for all these
Exactly.
jobs and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
that's good.
But make sure you're following economists and you're listening to people who are presenting all the facts and figures. I mean, somebody asked me recently, well, who knew it was going to crash? Who was saying it was going to crash back in 08 or 09? And I said it. I was kind of joking, but I was kind of serious. I said, I did. I did. And then I laughed and I said honestly, I had a house under contract that I was building for the purposes to flip it only. It was in Fern Meadows over there on 520. And we had it under contract, and we were getting ready to go to our design meeting to pick colors and all that stuff. And I don't know, I just kind of was like, I don't know, 8 months from now, are we going to make the money back on this house? And we ended up canceling the contract because I was too worried. And would I have made money in that 8 months? I would have, not as much as we thought, because then the market was starting to flip.
But
But
that
I'm
was
glad.
almost like breaks,
Yeah,
back it up. What in the heck just happened?
yeah, yeah. So, you know, look, do I want to go buy a house now and pay top dollar for a house? Not necessarily, but I'm going to get top dollar for my house. I mean, that's how that works. I was just showing houses to my sister who's like, well, I want to sell high and buy low. Yeah, everybody wants to do that, but that's just not how it works. If you're selling high, then you're buying high. I mean, that's
Right. I mean, it just kind of evens itself out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, granted, might you be able to find a good deal, or might you be able to find a house where the prices come down? Yeah, but probably because it was overpriced to begin with at this point.
And that's how I feel. And that's what I try to explain to Leo, because we've been looking at some of these houses of property, stuff
Right,
like that. And I'm like, well, it's landlocked. What are we going to do with it anyway?
right,
And they were asking this ridiculous price, and now they're kind of getting in with reality right now.
right, right. That's funny.
So, but he, doesn't get it. He just thinks, yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
sky is
and
falling.
and you might not be able to change his mind, and so that's that, so.
No, he just likes it when I go nuts. I think he just likes to drive me crazy sometimes.
Probably so.
He likes the deal. I just, same thing with buying a car. He has no problem spending weeks at the same place to get a deal he wants. And I'm like,
Oh
give me
goodness.
the price, get me out
Yeah,
of here, in and out in 2 hours. I'm done. I hate car shopping.
yeah, me too.
He likes the game. He'll spend 2
Yeah,
weeks getting the price he wants, and then he wants more.
yeah. No, I don't like that.
No,
That's
just
crazy.
what's the price? Let me drive it home. I'll be
That's,
there. Let's
yeah,
go.
no, that's not one bit of fun. So.
All right, what's our weekly activity?
All right. So this week, believe in yourself, play to win, and be sure to intentionally cheer for others, or members of your team, or people that you work with. But
I like that one.
give somebody else a pat on the back, and you're doing a good job. And
I like that. In the words of wisdoms, our relationships are at the heart of your well-being and happiness. Nurture them, and they will nurture you.
Oh, that's nice too.
And
Just that's a reminder to take care of your family.
Absolutely. Friends, family, everyone else, it all comes back twofold, exactly. I think. So until next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Bye.